If you ever find yourself driving down Highway 365 at night, keep going. Don't stop. Don't look back. And for the love of everything, never pull into the garage on the side of the road. I didn't have a choice. I needed the job. But what I thought was just another late night shift turned into something far more sinister. A place where the rules weren't just guidelines. They were the only thing keeping me alive. I never believed in urban legends. I wasn't the type to flinch at ghost stories or lose sleep over strange noises. I was a mechanic, a man of grease, metal, and hard facts. When the ad for a night shift mechanic at a remote garage on Highway 365 appeared, I saw it as an opportunity, nothing more. A paycheck and a quiet place to work. But I should have known, nothing good ever comes from places that advertise no experience needed, no questions asked. The garage was a squat, rusting building, crouched like a beast at the edge of a forest that seemed to swallow all light. A flickering neon sign read, 24-hour auto repair, though it was the only sign of life for miles. My boss, a grizzled man named Earl, stood outside, a cigarette glowing like a firefly in the dark. "You must be Tom," he grunted, barely making eye contact. "Couple of things you need to know. This place has rules. Break them, and you're on your own." He handed me a grimy laminated sheet. The rules were simple, almost childish at first glance. 1. Always keep the garage door locked, even if you're expecting a customer. 2. Never go into the storage room after midnight. 3. If a car pulls in without headlights, don't open the door. Ignore it. 4. If the phone rings at exactly 3 a.m., do not answer. 5. When leaving at dawn, always check the back seat of your car. Seriously, I chuckled, but Earl's expression didn't change. "You think it's a joke? Then leave now," he muttered, exhaling a plume of smoke that vanished into the darkness. "Otherwise, follow the damn rules." Maybe I should have listened. Maybe I should have walked away right then. But I didn't. I stayed, laughed off the eerie rules, and got to work. The first few nights were uneventful. Just a few truckers with busted radiators, a sedan that needed a tire change. Normal, boring. But then, things changed. It started on the 5th night. The clock had just struck midnight when a faint scratching sound came from the storage room door. I froze, a wrench in my hand, listening. Another scratch, followed by a low, almost mournful groan. My mind raced. Some kind of animal? I moved closer, then remembered the rule: never go in after midnight. But curiosity gnawed at me. I leaned in, pressing my ear against the door. The groans grew louder, a mix of pain and hunger. But there was something else, something almost human. My heart hammered, but I stepped back, gripping the wrench tighter. Whatever was in there, I didn't want to find out. The next night, just as I began to relax, a car rolled up without headlights. The engine idled, its silhouette a dark, hulking shape against the fog. I stared, half expecting the driver to step out, but no one did. I remember the rule: ignore it. But ignoring a silent, shadowy car wasn't as easy as it sounded. The engine finally cut, leaving a thick, suffocating silence. I forced myself to turn away, focus on the car I was working on, but I could feel it watching. When I dared to glance back, the car was gone, leaving nothing but tire tracks smeared in something dark, too dark to be mud. I told Earl the next night, trying to laugh it off. He just shrugged. "Told you. Follow the rules." It was the 7th night when the phone rang. Loud, shrill, slicing through the stillness like a blade. I glanced at the clock. 3 a.m. exactly. My chest tightened. My hand twitched towards the receiver, some desperate instinct telling me to answer it. But I stopped. I backed away, watching the phone vibrate, the light on it flashing like a warning. Then, Just as suddenly it stopped. But the silence that followed was worse, thicker, oppressive. I couldn't shake the feeling of being watched, even though I was alone. Or at least I thought I was. The following morning, as I prepared to leave, I remembered the last rule. I laughed at myself, checking the back seat like a child afraid of monsters. But when I turned, my laughter died. The back seat was empty, but the windows were fogged up, streaks of condensation twisting and swirling. And written in that mist, just 4 words: "You can't leave now." Panic twisted in my gut. I jumped out of the car, scanning the fog-laden lot. Nothing. No movement. Earl wasn't there. His pickup gone. Just me and the empty road stretching into the mist. I didn't leave that morning. I sat in the driver's seat, gripping the wheel, my eyes darting between the rearview mirror and the fog. The mist seemed to press closer, smothering the garage, the road, the trees. And somewhere in that swirling white, I thought I saw shapes. Tall, twisted, reaching shapes. When Earl arrived later, I told him everything. The noises, the car, the writing. He just sighed, his face a mask of weary indifference. "Like I said, Tom, follow the rules, or you're on your own." I should have quit right there. I should have packed my things and never looked back. But the money was good, and I convinced myself it was just stress, just tricks of the light and the fog. But now I'm not so sure, because tonight is my 8th shift. Midnight is approaching, and the scratching has started again. But it's not coming from the storage room this time. It's coming from under the garage floor. Last night, something was scratching from beneath the garage floor. Earl warned me about the rules, but nothing could prepare me for what I heard. And now, I can't shake the feeling that whatever is lurking in this place is getting closer and smarter. I didn't sleep that day. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw those twisted shapes in the fog, felt the damp, suffocating chill of the garage pressing in on me. Earl didn't seem to care. He just handed me the keys and mumbled something about another late delivery truck due around 2 a.m. "Don't let it inside," he said, eyes fixed on the ground. "If it comes without headlights, don't open the door." I nodded, pretending to be calm, but my hand shook as I pocketed the keys. Earl looked at me for the first time since that morning. "You didn't check under the floor, did you?" I swallowed hard. "No." He gave a slow nod. "Good. Never look under there. That's not a rule, it's a warning." That night, the fog rolled in thicker than usual, coiling around the garage like a living thing. The scratching started at midnight, soft, almost tentative at first. I stayed at my workstation, tools scattered on the bench, trying to ignore it. But the noise grew louder, more desperate. I swear I heard muffled voices, pleading, whispering my name. Sweat trickled down my back as I glanced at the clock, 12:30 a.m. I forced myself to focus on the car in front of me, but my ears stayed locked on the rhythmic scraping noise. Suddenly, a loud thud shook the ground, followed by a low, rumbling groan. I froze, wrench in hand, heart racing. Then it stopped. I didn't move for a long time. I thought about calling Earl, but something told me he wouldn't answer. The fog outside seemed thicker than ever, pressing against the garage windows, distorting the world beyond. And that's when I saw it. A shadow shifting in the mist, tall and thin, with twisted limbs that seemed to stretch and curl. My phone buzzed. 1:59 a.m. Earl's warning echoed in my mind. The delivery truck, headlights off, don't open the door. But even as I tried to steady my breathing, a set of faint, glowing lights appeared at the edge of the lot. They flickered, then died. No headlights. The truck rolled forward, engine a dull, steady rumble. It stopped just outside the garage. The engine cut, leaving only silence. I stepped back, clutching the wrench, hiding behind the workbench. The truck's driver door creaked open, but no one stepped out. I felt a cold sweat on my forehead, watching, waiting. But the darkness was too thick, the fog too dense. Only the empty, open truck door stared back at me. The scratching from below started again, frantic this time, louder, more desperate. My mind raced, two things at once. How was I supposed to keep track? Panic gnawed at me, and I gripped the wrench so tight my knuckles ached. The truck door suddenly slammed shut, the engine roared to life, and the truck reversed, slowly, almost reluctantly, back into the mist. But the relief was short-lived. The phone on the desk rang. My heart skipped. The clock on the wall read 3 a.m. Don't answer. Don't answer. But the ringing didn't stop. Louder. More insistent. I forced myself to look away, to cover my ears, but I could still hear it. A voice whispering beneath the ringing. Tom. Tom, please help. It was my name. My voice. Panic turned to terror, my legs weakening beneath me. I stumbled away from the desk, eyes locked on the door. The ringing stopped, but the scratching beneath the floor didn't. I bolted for the exit, fumbling with the lock, but the thick fog outside pressed against the glass, dark shapes twisting and writhing within it. Something heavy slammed against the floor from below, the entire garage trembling. I felt trapped, caught between whatever was under the floor and whatever lurked in the mist. My eyes darted to the storage room, the one I wasn't supposed to enter after midnight. But the scratching, it seemed to be coming from beneath it. My mind raced. Earl's rules didn't make sense. They were more than just precautions. They were barriers. But against what? I needed answers. I needed to know what I was really dealing with. Swallowing my fear, I grabbed a flashlight and made my way to the storage room. The handle felt ice cold beneath my palm. I hesitated, but then a crash echoed from beneath the floor, and my survival instinct kicked in. I pushed the door open. The storage room was a cramped, dusty space lined with shelves of rusted tools and forgotten parts. But my eyes locked on the floor, a trapdoor I hadn't noticed before, half buried under a tarp. The scratching was louder here, frantic, almost desperate. My flashlight flickered. My heart raced as I approached, each step feeling heavier than the last. I shouldn't open it. Every instinct screamed at me to turn back, to leave, to never look down. But then the whisper came again, my own voice, muffled but clear. Tom, please help. I'm trapped. It was me, my voice, pleading from beneath the trapdoor. The same voice I heard on the phone. I reached for the latch, my hand trembling. But as I did, something hit the garage door outside. Hard, metal bending inward with a loud, screeching groan. The fog outside seemed to pulse, pressing against the windows, shadowy forms pressing against the glass. Another crash, closer this time. Whatever was outside was trying to get in. Whatever was beneath the trapdoor was trying to escape. A low, rumbling groan came from the floor, and I felt a sickening chill spread through me. I was trapped, caught between two nightmares, and the rules felt like a cruel joke. The trapdoor shuddered beneath my touch. The fog outside grew thicker, the shadows more restless. I heard Earl's voice in my head, the same weary warning. Follow the rules, or you're on your own. But now I had to make a choice. Follow the rules, or break them. And something told me that, either way, I wouldn't be leaving here alive. Last night, Tom faced a horrifying choice. Follow the strange rules, or uncover the truth beneath the garage floor. As shadowy figures pressed against the fogged windows, and the phone echoed with his own desperate voice, he stood frozen between two nightmares. I stood in the dark, musty storage room, my flashlight trembling in my grip. Beneath me, the trapdoor shuddered, and the desperate scratching from below grew frantic. My voice, my own voice, echoed up from the darkness, pleading, begging for help. But beyond the storage room, something heavier pounded against the garage door, a twisted shadow pressing against the fog-streaked windows. My mind was a whirlwind of fear and confusion. Earl's rule spun through my head like a haunting mantra. 1. Keep the garage door locked. 2. Never enter the storage room after midnight. 3. Ignore cars without headlights. 4. Don't answer the phone at 3 a.m. 5. Always check the back seat before leaving. But these weren't just rules, they were barricades. Barriers meant to keep something out, or maybe keep something in. Another crash against the garage door. The metal buckled, the fog pressing in like greedy fingers. I had to decide, stay and see what was beneath the trapdoor, or run. But could I even escape? Suddenly, the overhead lights flickered violently, plunging me into stuttering darkness. Panic surged, but I forced myself to think. Earl, he knew something. He had to. He left me here, alone, with these rules and these horrors. But why? I grabbed my phone and dialed his number. It rang once, twice. Then a tired, gravelly voice answered. You're still there, aren't you? Earl's voice was calm, almost resigned. Earl, what is this place? What's under the floor? What's in the fog? I was barely keeping my voice steady. You didn't listen. I told you to follow the rules. He sighed. If you open that door, you'll be letting them in. Let who in? I shouted, another crash against the garage door making me flinch. Tom, the fog is a veil. What you see in it, they aren't meant to be here. The garage is a boundary, and the thing beneath the floor, it's trying to escape. If you open that trapdoor, you'll lose everything. Why is my voice coming from beneath the floor, Earl? I demanded, the scratching beneath me turning to frantic pounding. Because it wants you to open it. It knows what you fear, Earl whispered. Don't get out of there. Now, a shriek of twisting metal rang out. I spun to see the garage door bending inward, claw-like fingers of darkness curling around the edges. A faint, distorted whisper slipped through the gap, a voice like mine, but warped and broken. Tom, you can't leave. I didn't think. I ran, out of the storage room, across the garage, fumbling with the main door lock. The fog outside was so thick I could barely see beyond first few feet. Shadows writhed in it, twisted, reaching shapes clawing toward the glass. My car. I had to reach my car. I bolted through the side door, the mist engulfing me instantly. It was cold, damp, pressing against my skin. I could barely see the parking lot, but I heard them, whispers swirling in the fog, some crying, some laughing. And then, the headlights. A car emerged from the mist, but the lights weren't on. Its engine idled, silent except for the low, throaty growl beneath the hood. I staggered back, remembering the rule, ignore cars without headlights. But the driver's door swung open with a loud creak. No one stepped out. I ran. My car was barely visible in the mist, the shape of it wavering like a mirage. My keys, my hand shook so badly I almost dropped them. Finally, the door unlocked. I threw myself in and slammed the door shut. Then I remembered. Check the back seat. I didn't want to look. My breathing came in sharp, ragged gasps. But I forced myself to glance into the rearview mirror. The back seat was empty at first. But then, like fog on glass, faint letters appeared, streaking across the inside of the window. You can't leave. My heart plummeted. I turned the key. The engine roared to life. Gravel spat beneath the tires as I tore out of the lot, the mist curling around my car like a living thing. I drove blind, headlights barely piercing the thick fog. The radio crackled to life, the static breaking into that same voice. My voice, whispering, desperate. Tom, please help. Don't leave me here. The fog seemed endless, stretching forever. No road signs, no landmarks, just the swirling, suffocating mist. Panic clawed at me. Was I even on Highway 365 anymore? Or had I somehow drifted somewhere else? Suddenly, a shape loomed in the mist, twisting, towering, blocking the road. I slammed the brakes, skidding to a stop. The shape didn't move, but it didn't feel solid. More like a dense shadow, shifting and stretching. And then I saw it. Dozens of faces pressed against the dark mist, twisted in agony, their eyes wide and hollow. Their mouths moved, but the voices were a distant, echoing chorus. Help us, trap forgotten. One face pushed through the shadow. My face, pale, hollow-eyed, staring at me. I screamed, swerved the car, and sped off, the mist twisting in the rearview mirror like reaching hands. But the road seemed endless, looping, each mile identical to the last. The mist thickened, pressing against the windows, freezing cold. My phone rang again, 3 a.m. No. I whispered, but it wouldn't stop. I grabbed it, ready to throw it away. But the voice on the other end was clear, steady. Tom, you can't outrun it. The garage is your only safe place. You need to get back, or they'll take you. Earl, I gasped. Get back to the garage, Tom. The rules only protect you there. The call ended. My headlights flickered, the engine sputtering. The fog was too thick now, pressing against the windshield, the shadows within swirling faster. With a final, desperate twist of the wheel, I turned the car around, driving blindly back toward the garage. The mist seemed to part just enough, and there it was, the dull neon glow of 24-hour auto repair piercing the darkness. But as I sped into the lot, I saw something that made my blood run cold. The garage door was wide open, and from the darkness within, something watched. Tom tried to escape the fog-shrouded garage, but the horrors seemed to follow him. Twisted shadows, ghostly whispers, and the terrifying truth that the rules were his only shield. Desperate and trapped, he returned to the garage, but now the door was wide open, and something was watching from within. I sat frozen in the driver's seat, staring at the yawning darkness of the garage. The fog clung to the building like a living thing, and within that thick shadow, something stared back. Cold terror wrapped around me, but I couldn't look away. The fog shifted, and I saw it, a tall, twisted silhouette, its shape writhing like smoke, but the eyes, they were hollow, yet watching. And then it moved, sinking into the darkness of the garage, leaving the door wide open. Earl's voice echoed in my mind. The garage is your only safe place. But how could it be safe if that thing was inside? I gripped the steering wheel, the engine still running, the mist swirling around the car. I wanted to turn around, drive until the mist was just a bad memory. But the road stretched into nothing, an endless, suffocating fog. My phone buzzed, another call. Earl's name flashed on the screen. I answered, my voice trembling. Earl, there's something in the garage. Tom, listen to me. The fog is a trap. It's not just mist, it's them. They're trying to pull you in. His voice was sharp, urgent. You need to get inside the garage. Close the door. Follow the rules. It's your only chance. But something's already inside. I shouted, eyes locked on the darkness. Silence. Then Earl whispered, It's too late. It's already started. What do you mean? What started? I demanded. But the call cut off, leaving only the muffled whispers swirling in the mist around me. The shadows pressed closer, shapes pressing against the fog-streaked windows, faces twisted in pain, hollow eyes watching. I couldn't wait. I floored the gas, the car surging forward. My headlights, pierced the darkness just enough for me to swerve into the lot. I leapt out, leaving the engine running, and ran toward the garage door. The darkness within felt alive, pulsing, breathing. But I forced myself forward, grabbing the chain and yanking the door down. It clattered shut, the world outside muffled instantly. My breathing came in sharp, ragged gasps. But I wasn't alone. The overhead lights flickered, casting sickly yellow light across the cluttered workspace. Tools lay scattered, the air thick with the smell of rust and damp. But the darkness seemed to cling to the corners, twisting like living shadows. "Hello." My voice was barely above a whisper. No answer, only the faint, steady drip of water somewhere in the back. I reached for the flashlight on the workbench, its beams slicing through the gloom. Then I saw it, footprints, wet, muddy and wrong. They twisted, almost claw-like, leading deeper into the garage, toward the storage room. My heart pounded. Earl's warning echoed in my mind. Don't go into the storage room after midnight. But it was too late. The door stood ajar, a sliver of darkness spilling into the room, and something was moving inside. Slow, deliberate waiting. I took a step back, my eyes darting around for anything I could use. A crowbar leaned against the wall. I grabbed it, gripping it tight enough to make my fingers ache. The silence thickened, pressing against my ears. Then a voice, my voice, drifted from the storage room. Tom, please help me." No, it couldn't be real. It was a trick, a trap. But it sounded so desperate, so familiar. Sweat trickled down my forehead. I had to know. I had to see what was really happening. I edged closer, flashlight shaking in my grip. The door creaked as I nudged it open, and the beams swept across the cramped, cluttered room. The trapdoor lay wide open, and from the darkness below, a pale hand reached out, twisted, clawed fingers stretching toward me. My flashlight caught the face that followed, a gaunt, hollow-eyed version of myself. Lips pulled back in a silent scream. "Help me, Tom. Don't leave me here," it whispered, my voice twisted with anguish. I staggered back, the crowbar slipping from my grasp. This couldn't be real. This was impossible. But the thing pulled itself further out, its limbs bending in ways that should have been impossible. Skin hanging and sagging, colorless folds. More arms reached from the darkness beneath it, twisted, desperate, clawing at the ground. I ran. I didn't think. I bolted toward the main door, wrenching it open. The fog outside was thicker, pressing against the doorway, twisted shadows writhing just beyond the threshold. No way out. I slammed the door shut, my eyes wild, my breathing sharp and ragged. My mind raced, trying to piece it together. The fog, the shadows, the voices, the thing beneath the trapdoor with my face. A metallic clang rang out behind me. I turned to see the storage room door swinging shut, and then the whispering began, everywhere all around me. My name, twisting, echoing, overlapping. Tom, please help. Please don't leave me." My flashlight flickered, and the shadows seemed to crawl closer, twisting and stretching across the walls. My phone rang again. I grabbed it, answering without thinking. "Earl," I screamed. His voice was faint, distorted. "Tom, I'm sorry. I should have told you. It's too late now." "Told me what?" "What is this place?" "It's a breach," Earl whispered. "A place where the veil between our world and something else is thin. The fog hides them. The rules are meant to keep them out. But you listened to the whispers, didn't you? It knows your name now. It's made you a part of it." "No." I backed into the corner, the shadows creeping closer. "There's one last rule, Tom." Earl's voice was almost drowned out by the static. "If you see yourself, run. It wants to replace you. I stared at the storage room. The door burst open, and a figure stepped out. My face, my eyes cold, empty. "You can't leave, Tom," it whispered, a twisted smile spreading across its face. "But I can." The lights shattered, plunging the garage into darkness. Tom's nightmare has become a horrifying reality. The garage, shrouded in mist and haunted by twisted shadows, hides a truth more terrifying than he could imagine. And now, face to face with a twisted version of himself, he realizes that the fog wants to replace him. But it won't stop there. It wants to escape. Darkness swallowed the garage, cold and suffocating. My flashlight sputtered, the weak beam barely pushing back the thick, crawling shadows. And there, in that suffocating blackness, it stood me, twisted, hollow-eyed, lips stretched in a cruel smile. "You can't leave, Tom," it whispered, taking a slow, deliberate step toward me. Its voice was my own, but distorted, layered with a sickening echo. My heart raced, cold sweat soaking my shirt. Earl's warning echoed in my mind. "If you see yourself, run." But where could I run? The fog outside pressed against the garage windows, the mist writhing like desperate, clawing fingers. I stumbled backward, tripping over scattered tools, the flashlight slipping from my grip and spinning on the ground, its beam catching glimpses of the twisted thing wearing my face. Its movements were wrong, disjointed, almost fluid, as if its limbs were too long, its bones too soft. But its eyes, those hollow, staring eyes, never left me. "You tried to leave, but you're part of this now," it whispered, another slow step forward. "You followed the rules, but they were never meant to protect you. They were meant to trap you." "No," I screamed, my back hitting the workbench. My shaking hands fumbled, grasping for anything. My fingers closed around a wrench. Without thinking, I swung. The twisted thing's head snapped to the side, the impact cracking against its skull. But it didn't flinch. It only smiled wider. "Did you think you were the first?" it hissed, voice splitting into a chorus of overlapping whispers. There were others, lost in the fog, replaced, forgotten. I swung again, wild, desperate. It caught the wrench effortlessly, its cold, clawed fingers wrapping around my wrist, squeezing. Pain shot through my arm, and I dropped to my knees, gasping. "Don't struggle, Tom. It's easier if you don't fight." The thing leaned closer, its face shifting, melting and reforming, flashes of other faces in the twisted mist of its flesh. "We can share your skin, your voice, your life." "No." I twisted, slamming my knee into its side. It staggered back, just enough for me to break free. I ran, tearing toward the main door, yanking at the handle. Locked. The twisted whispering swirled around me, clawing at my thoughts. The mist outside seemed to thicken, the shadows pressing against the windows. Dozens of faces stared back, hollow eyes, gaping mouths, silently pleading. Earl's voice echoed in my mind. The garage is a boundary, a breach. But if it was a breach, it could be closed. The rules were never meant to protect me. They were meant to contain whatever was trying to escape. I stumbled toward the storage room. The trapdoor was wide open, and from that black abyss, the whispering rose, a twisted cacophony of voices. But I wasn't running anymore. I grabbed the heavy toolbox from the workbench, dragged it to the trapdoor, and slammed it shut. The whispers twisted into screams, desperate, clawing, but muffled now. The twisted thing wearing my face snarled, lurching toward me, but I wasn't done. I grabbed the metal chains hanging from the walls, wrapping them around the trapdoor, using a wrench to twist them tight. "You can't stop it, Tom," it shrieked, voice splitting into a dozen overlapping howls. "We are already here. We will take you." The fog outside pressed against the glass, the faces writhing, the mist darkening, thickening. But they couldn't get in. Not fully. Not yet. I turned to the thing that wore my face, its smile gone, replaced with a hateful, twisted rage. "You want out," I shouted. "Then stay there." I grabbed the gas can from the corner, splashing the thick, oily liquid across the floor, the walls, the twisted thing. It shrieked, the darkness around it boiling, faces twisting in its flesh. "Tom, you can't leave," it wailed, but I was done listening. I struck the match. The flames erupted, racing across the oil-soaked floor. The twisted thing shrieked, clawing at me, but the fire consumed it, its form twisting, melting, its screams rising to an ear-piercing pitch. The garage filled with thick, black smoke, the heat unbearable. The fog outside seemed to writhe, the faces pressing harder against the glass, but they couldn't reach me. I grabbed the crowbar, smashed the garage window, and threw myself through it, crashing onto the gravel outside. Cold, damp air wrapped around me, the fog swirling but retreating from the spreading flames. The garage burned, a twisted, howling inferno, the darkness within boiling, faces stretching, screaming, and vanishing in the smoke. I stumbled to my feet, coughing, choking on the cold, damp air. But the fog was thinning, the mist pulling back. The faces faded, the whispers silenced. Only the orange glow of the fire remained. My phone buzzed. Earl's number. I answered, my voice shaking. "Earl, it's done. The garage. You burned it." His voice was sharp, almost desperate. "Yes, it's gone. It's over." A long pause. Then Earl spoke, his voice cold. "You fool. You didn't close it. You've opened it." "What?" My chest tightened. You destroyed the only thing holding them back. They'll spread now, Tom. The mist, the shadows. They'll follow you. And anyone else who wanders this road." The line went dead. The fire raged behind me, the thick, dark smoke twisting up into the night sky, vanishing into the thinning mist. But even as the fog receded, I saw them, at the edge of the darkness, just beyond the firelight, watching, waiting, and I realized the truth. This wasn't just a haunted garage. It was a breach, a doorway, and I had just torn it open. And somewhere in the dying darkness, I heard the whisper, my voice distant, laughing. "You can't leave, Tom. You can't ever leave."